This is ARK Kvm. It's a remote KVM device. You've seen many of them. And the difference between this and a lot of the other offerings out there is that this is 100% browser-based and controlled, which means you don't have to download any apps from any stores to use it. It's PoE ready, it has two-way audio, a 1.83 touchscreen, and it does 1080p at 60 Hz. Let's check it out. So in the box, we get this, thanks for choosing ARK Kvm. We get a getting started guide with a link, and we also get some basic instructions such as connecting via USB-C, HDMI, network, and web interface. In the box, you get a bunch of cables, HDMI leads, network connections, things like that. They sent this over to me to review for you guys and to have a little look and see what we can do with it. Now, although on the front it says PoE ready, two-way audio, file transfer, and camera forwarding, they have updated me that the camera forwarding is not quite ready yet, and they are still working on it. As is the two-way audio, which they consider, although functional, to be a beta feature at the moment. So we've got a USB connector with some USB inputs and outputs. We've got a HDMI cable and a USB-A to USB-C lead as well. We've also got the ARK Kvm unit itself. What you get here with its 1.83 touchscreen, it's got some ventilation. On the back, you've got your main I/O, such as your PoE, HDMI, and USB-C. Nothing really on the bottom. No serial numbers on the external that I can see. Got the logo, that looks very nice. In here, they sent along the ADSL to USB and USB-C, the PCI mounting bracket, and the ATX power board, as well as some additional brackets and cabling, if you wanted to control the power directly through this. And we're gonna plug it up here to the Razer Blade 2021 Advanced and see what we can control back from the studio PC. And it's powering on. It's connected straight to my network. Now, I really do like this touchscreen. I do like that it gives us information on the display, such as if it has USB and HDMI connectivity, because if things aren't working on your computer, yet they are showing as active here, you can easily troubleshoot where they are. Again, you know, we've got our device IP and we also get our IPv6 address as well. And then we've got the MAC address on here, which is really, really handy. It's on my VLAN 6, it's getting a 192.168.634. It's also pulling an IPv6 address, and it gives us the device MAC address information. But the good thing is, it tells us which IP address to connect to. So 192.168.634 is where we're going to go on the studio PC and see if we can control this device. Okay, so we're on the ARK Kvm website. You can see all these specifications that I've just advised, such as the 1080p at 60 Hz, PoE ready, out-of-band control, two-way audio, web UI. That's really an important thing because a lot of these KVM devices are asking you to have these apps. And as a home labber, as a privacy enthusiast, a sovereign data activist, I want control over everything. Now, I don't ever connect these to the internet, by the way. I lock them down on my firewall. But we're going to go to the IP address of this device, and it says, welcome to ARK Kvm. ARK Kvm is a tiny IP KVM with PoE. We're going to do setup ARK Kvm. We are going to add a password. Paste that in there. That seems to work. Enable sound playback to play audio from the remote computer on your host. Yes. Microphone emulation. Yes. Bottle transfer. Yes. Automatic software updates. We're gonna set that up later because we don't want to have auto updates. I never want my devices to automatically update themselves. I want a bit more control over that. So, experiencing with computing remotely. One of the things I do like is that it's not forcing you into any particular app. It's fully web browser based. There's nothing to install. It says there's no video signal at the moment. Is it because? Yes, there we go. So Windows screensaver. So when the screensaver is active, it doesn't detect the screen at all. Okay, so looking at this display, we're on a 1080p monitor ourselves here. So it is connected, USB. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's some
stat menus here. Here's our paste text, fantastic. That's on all the leading KVM devices. Virtual media, again, you want to boot or install operating systems, virtual USB drives. Well, that's cool. So you can actually create multiple directories and then mount them to the remote machine. Wake on LAN, virtual keyboard, brilliant. That's a big one. Then you've got ATX power, which we've not installed, but you can if you want to. Connection stats, inbound media. Again, the full 60 FPS, barely going above a megabit per second. Outbound video, says limited. Stream details, network jitter, and real-time, no packet loss. Additional settings. Check for updates. So the current system update is there. Let's see if we have any updates. There is an update available. Let's do that now. And this is one of the reasons why I do allow it to have internet access initially. I will then tell the firewall to block internet access once we are fully up to date, and then I connect back home over VPN, such as Amnesia WireGuard or Tailscale. I have multiple methods back into my home network. Something I am really happy with is the traffic coming out of the ARK KVM. I've worked with a lot of different KVMs on my channel, and they're very chatty, whether they're going to Google Stun servers or to multiple different domains, time synchronization, or trying to do their own DNS. My firewall usually intercepts all of it. What I'm saying, though, differently is that the ARK KVM device during this update, and without the update, is not sending traffic all over the place. I'm not getting a lot of I/O on the network, other than to the exact place I would expect based on what I'm doing on the device. So, as you can see here, if I refresh my firewall, the only two domains this thing has touched is api.arkkvm.com and app.arkkvm.com, which are narrowed down to the fact that I am updating the ARK KVM, something therefore that I would expect. And I think that's really important to highlight. That is a really big green flag. Now, if we tap into this, again, we can start seeing exactly what's going on. We can even do some IP address lookups for the servers that it's attaching, for the servers that it's going to and sending traffic to, and testing the reputation of those servers. Nothing in the red. So everything seems to be working great in there. We got full screen mode as well, the notorious right click, very low latency. Quality seems to be fine, especially if you were just using this for, its pure core use case of remote KVM, maybe helping family members out, maybe just remote connecting back in. Now you'll notice that I don't have any network connection on the Razor Blade itself. Yeah, I am still be able to access this because the connection is going via the ARK KVM. So if we get out of full screen mode, let's see what we can do with a virtual USB drive. If I create a directory, set videos. Is Wireshark. So we are less than a megabyte. We're barely reaching just over half a megabyte per second here. So they're quite low file transfer speeds. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes to upload an ISO like Ubuntu desktop onto this. Going back over to the device's product page while we wait for that to transfer over, we can see a few different things. So it's got 32 gigs of eMMC storage on board. You can mount ISOs. It's got Wake on LAN, virtual USB drives, which we're using, two-way file transfers. That'll be interesting to see in a second. Cloud access, optional, out-of-band management, clientless web UI, and two-way audio. Some units may still ship with earlier packaging that mentions features such as camera forwarding. At this time, camera forwarding is not included in the current firmware as we are prioritizing overall system stability and reliability. So they haven't really got that going just yet. Being sold at a reduced market price now for $99, probably as a reflection of the lack of camera forwarding at this time. So we've got 1080p 60 FPS, built-in PoE, full-size HDMI inputs, keyboard mouse control, everything that you would want in a KVM device. Now I have used quite a few KVM devices. I've used Comet X, I've used a lot of GLI.net Comets, right? So I've got Comet PoE, Comet 1 original, I've used the Comet X for the server rack, which I've got in there right now. I've used the Sunray KVM. All of these videos on the channel. They're all great devices. They all have their own use cases. So it's about finding which one is right for you. So if we mount this to remote, we should now be able to, it has picked that up. If I go to full screen mode, I go to the folder, there is our virtual USB drive, and there's our directory we created, and there's Wireshark. At which point we should be able to copy that to the downloads folder. What is the speeds there? Oh, done. Because the operating system is reading versus writing, so read speeds are phenomenal. That there was not even a delay in copying the 100 megabyte Wireshark file over. Reading, writing when you're uploading to the ARK KVM is quite slow, as we've just witnessed. But that is for directories. What about if we are uploading virtual media? Oh, that's cool. So you can mount via a URL. Oh, nice. So it does have popular images available to download straight on here. So just Debian, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Arch Linux, and NetBoot. Mount as disk, mount as CD, DVD. That's cool. And if we do the direct, say Ubuntu 26. Ooh, look at that. Now that's really interesting. So if we upload using the ISO uploader to mount images, well, that looks like 10 times the speed of uploading files to directories. Another great use of these devices is environment recovery. So let's try that on our NAS now using Mini Partition Wizard. And I'll show you how to use the bootable media, such as the mini partition recovery image. You can have operating systems on here as well, so you can install operating systems straight to the drive. But we're going to see if we can jump into a Windows recovery environment with this. The other thing I like is that you can actually delete old images as well. They don't take up all the space on the drive. And this is actually faster than some of the KVMs I've used as well in terms of transfer speeds, which means you're not going to be sat here all day waiting for this to actually load onto the device. Okay, so there's our successful mount. If we do mount file, that's now mounted. And if we restart our device, and then basically just hit the delete key. I always like to hit the left mouse button too as well, just to keep focus. So I've hooked this up to my B-Link Pro, ME Pro NAS, and straight away, as you can see, it's come straight up with the BIOS. So what we're going to do is see if it's detected our... So it hasn't detected our ARK KVM virtual media yet. There we go. We mount the file. After a restart, you have to do that every time. If we do on the virtual keyboard, Control, Alt, and Delete, that will restart, and then we will smash the delete key to get into that BIOS, and it's discovered our ARK KVM virtual media, so we will launch that. Press any key to boot file. Now we can also maximize the screen, and now we've got full recovery access to our device. I'm using the Mini Partition Wizard because I have a license with them. Check out the video in the description if you'd like to see more about them. And this gives me access to all my hard drives, all my recovery tools, which is the perfect use case for ARK KVM. It's out-of-band management, it's out-of-band recovery. Now, Mini Partition Wizard, the ISO that you can create with their software, is like a bootable Windows recovery environment, which is working perfectly on the NAS, might I add. It's asking if we want to keep the current resolution, which we will, and let's get into it. And there we go, just like that. I can see all the drives on my NAS, and we can see we've got our two 4TB drives and the built-in 1TB NVMe, which allows us to do recovery or disk analyzing, or... So if we do data recovery, for example, yes, this would be perfect. And again, we are accessing this through the ARK KVM. Now, it does have also ATX power options. That comes as an accessory in the box. That comes as an additional accessory if you want. So you can hook this up, for example, to computers, servers, mainframes, things like that, and then get complete control. So if I give you a quick show of that, and this is the circuit board that you can actually connect all the details to, and this connects to the back of the ARK KVM as well, and these connect to the power connectors on your motherboard. And then you can control that through the interface here. Now, obviously, we've got a web-based terminal as well. We can paste text. We've got Wake on LAN, volume controls, and again, the two-way audio as well. And it also gives us the connection stat. So it says, 60 FPS, excellent video playback, 12 millisecond delay, which is really, really good, actually. And we've got 2 millisecond network delay. We've gone through a bunch of the settings already. Ultimately, this is exactly what you would need to use to get recovery to your computers, to your NAS devices, anything. You could even use this just for Teams calls. You could use this for remote connecting for server equipment, things that you need access to remotely. It's what its use case is. Check out the ARK KVM, links in the description, and as always, thanks for watching.